Hey guys, welcome to another championships podcast. I'm here again with Brock. Today we're going to talk about some of the activity that's happened in free agency. Starting with the quarterbacks. Brock, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. How about yourself, Connor?
I am doing lovely. So over the last couple days, we've seen a lot of quarterback activity. Some players moving to some new places, some re-signing, some people were traded. So let's kind of get into it, and obviously start with the uh, big item here. Kirk Cousins, he signed a 4-year deal with the Falcons for
180
$180 million.
million.
Yep. What do you think about that?
Crazy. I mean, I feel like it's a little bit overpaid. I mean, I feel like they're definitely, well, not for sure, but I feel like they're getting closer to being a playoff contender because they actually have a legit quarterback now. Um, but yeah, I feel like a little bit overpaid.
Yeah, I'd be a little skeptical just because he's coming off the Achilles. Now I know he wasn't a
Yeah, that
mobile
too.
player
Yeah.
before, so it's kind of interesting to see how he may recover at an older age. I think he's about 35, 36. But he's going into an offense that's a good line, obviously good running backs, an elite young receiver in London, and an elite prospect in Pitts. And they just signed Mooney
And they
a little
also
while
just
ago.
signed Mooney too.
Yep. And I would expect them still to draft a couple more receivers or weapons in the
Mhm.
draft or get another depth piece from free agency. So I think there'll be a lot around Cousins, and I expect them to have a solid year. And they're probably the favorite now in the NFC South, in my opinion.
Do you think they draft someone in the last round or something to go under him, kind of learn, or no?
I wouldn't worry about it. You committed to him for, I think, at least 3 years guaranteed out of that
Yeah.
contract. So I think you're just rolling with it. And you don't want to step on his toes with any young guys.
Yeah.
Plus, they still got Ritter.
Yeah, so I guess we could kind of roll the dice with him.
Next person up on the list, we have Baker Mayfield, who just re-signed with the Bucks for $100 million over 3 years. Um, Baker succeeded in this with this team last year. They obviously like the fit. They're kind of running the whole thing back. They re-signed Mike Evans. They didn't really sign another running back. They just brought back Edmonds, and
Mhm.
bring the whole band's back together. What do you think?
I like it. Because yeah, he did have a good year, like you said, and I mean, he never really, I feel like, had a terrible year. He definitely had ups and downs, but I think he's got enough in the tank where if he has a good team around him, he can lead his team to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Bucks and the Falcons are probably going to be the class of the South, with
Yeah.
the Saints kind of being competitive depending on what they do in the draft and finish up free agency with. Um, but I like Mayfield. He had a good year. I think he's a capable QB2. I think his
Mhm.
ceiling's lower than Cousins, but as long as he kind of stays on the same trajectory, I expect him to be solid. The only thing I'm a little concerned about is their offensive coordinator going to leave to head coach at the Panthers.
Yeah.
So next quarterback we have is the big deal of Russell Wilson signing with the Steelers to join a quarterback room that's a complete mess.
That's for
Franchise
sure.
that's looking for something since Ben, but Ben wasn't even that good his last few years. I think Wilson's a shell of himself, but I think he's a little bit better than advertised. I do like that they'll have what appears to be a run heavy play action scheme with Arthur Smith and Pickens as being the deep threat. Unfortunately, Deontay just got traded a little while ago.
Yeah.
So I expect them to be in the market for receivers in the draft, which they've historically been good at doing. And then obviously they have a good tight end and a couple backs like I just talked about. So there's a lot of pieces there, and I think a coaching staff that can support him and try to make him excel at what he's good at still at this point in his career.
Mhm. I think, yeah, I think the fact that it was a 1.2 uh, deal I think that definitely helps because if he somehow loses the job to Kenny Pickett, which I don't think he will, but if he somehow does, it's not that big of a cap hit. So it's definitely a team friendly deal. Um, but if anything, it makes makes it like a good room to try and compete in the QB room. So maybe it'll up the game for Pickett, or maybe it'll just be all Wilson. But either way, I feel like they'll have an increase in quarterback play.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the nice thing too is he's still getting 38 million from the Broncos or something like that. So
Yeah, that too. So that's probably why he was okay with only taking the
yeah, yeah,
1.2
yeah,
from the Steelers.
exactly. All right. Gardner Minshew signed a 2-year deal with the Raiders. Expectation he's going to compete with O'Connell. Um, I think they're two different style quarterbacks, probably on the same level. It depends on what they want to do there. I would give O'Connell a slight advantage because he was already there, but the money is committed to Minshew a bit, but he's also making like solid backup money. Like it's nothing crazy, especially in a team that had some cap space to give.
I do think that it is a little bit um overpaid for it not being a guaranteed job, because I mean you would think that for Vegas that they'd want to add other pieces, and I feel like if they maybe could have taken off a few mil or something, just I mean unless they have in their mind that he's going to start over O'Connell from the beginning, unless he loses a job basically. But I don't know. I like the fit. I just wish for the Raiders' sake that they wouldn't have spent as much as they did.
My only question here is you have two ideal backups with the team, and the expectation was they may draft a quarterback. At this point, do you expect them to draft a quarterback, or do you think they'll just roll with what they got this year and they're going to be in the play for a top QB next season?
I mean, with the fact that they had a what is a three-year deal for Minshew, or 4 year, or 2 years?
Two.
2 years. Okay, so
I think only one's
so
guaranteed, really, too.
okay, yeah. So I mean, maybe I wonder if they're looking ahead for next year's draft. Maybe they got an eye on somebody they like there, and they're gonna roll it out with these guys and quote unquote tank maybe a little bit to kind of get who they want next year.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's probably what's going to happen. Unless there's someone that falls to them in the second round that they like, then you're going to have
Yeah.
a mess, I think. Or sometimes injuries happen. Maybe one of these guys gets traded early in the preseason or something like that to
Yeah.
help a team out.
Hmm.
Um, then we kind of got like this pile of backup
Backups.
QBs, I would think. So we got Jacoby Brissett signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots. Jameis signed a deal for 1 year with Cleveland, and Darnold signed a 1-year deal with the Vikings. Any of those guys intrigue you?
I personally like the deal with Jameis Winston the most because I feel like he just always brings like a high level of energy to the team, whether he's the backup or whether he's the starter. I mean, look what he was doing last year with Derek Carr. He was always getting him up and going, and I feel like that'll help Watson because he's definitely had some ups and downs ever since he's come back. But I feel like having a guy like Winston in his corner cheering him on, I feel like that'll definitely help him out a lot.
Yeah, I think out of those three, Brissett has proven to be the best quarterback of the three in recent memory.
Yeah.
He's been a solid player going back to the Patriots. I don't think he's going to be the starter, though. I think they'll still take a quarterback in the top three. So that puts me looking at Darnold because I don't know what's going on at the Browns. I mean, they have too much commitment to Watson for me to really care.
Yeah.
Um, Darnold right now is a window to start. I don't think it'll happen, but it could end up being a situation similar to the Raiders where they don't get who they expect, or
Mhm.
maybe they don't like the prospects in this draft or whatever it may be. So if Darnold's playing, even as inconsistent as he's proven to be, he's still going to have some decent people around him. He's talented on paper, and he's in a good system with a good offensive coaching. So maybe they can get him to be serviceable. Maybe he can make a Baker like resurgence, which I don't really expect, but I would say it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Yeah, I feel like with Minnesota, I feel like that would kind of be hard because they don't really have okay, so they just signed Jones. They just signed Aaron Jones. But and then I'm hearing some trade rumors about Justin Jefferson ever since they um chose to not re-sign Kirk Cousins that he wants out of there because he wanted Kirk. But if he's gone, they got Jordan Addison, but I don't know. I just feel like it would be hard for him to succeed in Minnesota as the starter.
I don't know. If they have all four of those pieces, I think he's got a pretty good supporting cast.
Well, yeah, if they have all four of them, but
Yeah.
I don't foresee them having all four of those. But
I mean,
if
who
they
has
do, then
money
yeah, he
that's a
definitely
good
has a
team or
chance.
has a good quarterback to afford Jefferson? I don't think anybody.
Yeah.
Jefferson's going to
So
want quarterback like money, and Minnesota's
yeah,
like
oh
in
yeah, he's gonna
position
want to
to
get paid.
pay him that. Yeah. So, I mean, where's he going to go? Realistically,
I don't know who's got a lot of cap room. I think
um,
Carolina has a lot of cap room, but he's probably not gonna want to go there, right?
yeah, they just got Deontay. They'll probably draft somebody. They have Mingo, Thielen. They have a bunch of B and C level players they're trying to piece together. I mean, the Patriots
It's
have money, no quarterback. The Titans have money, no quarterback. The Commanders have money.
looks
They have a
looks like
decent receiving
I was gonna say
core, no
Washington has
quarterback.
79 mil.
The Bears are going to be continuing to spend money to, I mean, upgrade that roster, and they're going to draft a
Ooh,
receiver, and they're going to have more.
Seahawks got 46 mil.
Yeah, I guess I don't see it happening. There's no team with any good quarterback. Like if you go by quarterback, like he's going to want to play with maybe a Williams, maybe a Daniels. I'm assuming that's what the Bears and Commanders do. Uh,
What do you think
Burrow on
they're
the
gonna do for the
Bengals.
Broncos as far as quarterback?
I don't know. I have no idea. I can see them getting a bridge. I can also see them drafting a quarterback that
Just
is
sucks.
maybe like a Bo Nix because he's got that play profile of like a late career Breeze, and people are going to make that connection. But I don't see them ever doing a lot with that. I don't think he's not going to carry a team. He's going to win in a system. So, in
Mhm.
my opinion, but I don't know. None of those teams intrigue me. I think he stays in Minnesota, gets paid,
Yeah.
and hangs out. So, all right. So that is our breakdown on all the free agency deals for the quarterbacks. We're gonna break up this video and dive into the running backs.